Okay, so let's get started. Welcome to the session. So today we're going to talk about how to do research. This is part of the Verse correspondence group. It's a sharing session for the Verse correspondence and for those who are part of the Verse research group who want to understand how to do research. Um, so you may have done research in your school. If you're in university, you may have done research before. This is a very different way of approaching research, perhaps from a more journalist kind of perspective. If you are not in school, if you're working, this is like a refresher of how to do research and how to think about problems in a way that you can share it with others, um, and and others would receive it better than just telling the facts. Okay, so a lot of the things that I'm sharing is my opinion. There are a lot of ways that you can do research, and so just take it with a lot of salt. This is just me sharing what I think research should be. Okay, so let's get started. This is how research. The big idea here that I want to talk to you, that I want to communicate today on this call, is to follow the pain, and the pain will tell the story. Okay, so here we go. So, why would anyone want to become a researcher? All right, so where everyone, um, whether or not you're interested in research, you would do two things. You would see pain in the world, or in your lives, or in other people's lives. Right, so that's part of the of life. You see pain everywhere. So what kind of pain? When you see things that are unright, when you see people are struggling, when you see systems are broken. Hi, Emmanuel, thank you for joining. When you see people who are angry, or you see injustice, or suffering, so all of that is pain in the world. And when you see that kind of pain, most people will want to say something about it. So I hope you want to say something about it too. So thank you. I see all the emojis. So yes, please react if you agree with me, or don't agree with me. Just react. I can see them. Um, yeah. So when anyone sees those pain in the world, it could be pain that you have experienced yourself, or your family members, or your community members have experienced. You want to say something about it. So it's a very natural reaction to want to speak up. And research gives you the helps you find the evidence, helps you find the language, and helps you craft a message, so that when you do speak up about it, other people would hear you and want to action together with you, want to take action together with you. Okay, so I think these two steps is part of, for me, that's what being a researcher um, is finding the pain in the world and saying something about it, such that other people would also take action together with you. Okay, so those are the two big ideas that I want to share about why become a researcher. Okay, so what can research do? So having a good research approach, you can convince people that the pain that you see is good. Or sometimes the pain is good, like when you study very hard for an exam, you are suffering, but at the end of the day, you get good grades. So that kind of pain is good, and you want to tell people that, oh yeah, it's good. Still go through it. Hey, Favor, I see you. Thank you for joining. And that kind of research and that kind of message is good, and you want to communicate that to people, that okay, this pain is okay. Go through it, suffer through it. All right, and there's other things I can say too, like, oh, this pain is bad. This pain is bad because it is injustice. It is harmful. It is not something that we should be doing. So research can help you craft that message to convince people that this pain in the world is bad. Okay, and The third thing is that research can help you share learnings. Okay, you've gone through a pain, a painful experience, or your family members or your community have gone through a painful experience, and now you want to share that learning with the world. All right, so research can help you form the message and share those learnings with others, which is also a very powerful thing. Right, so you're transferring knowledge from what you have inside you to others, that others can learn from it. And last, and perhaps the most powerful way of what research can do is that it can help everyone to communicate what their vision of the future is. How do they imagine, and how do you imagine what the future is? And how do you tell that to others so that they believe you and they want to work towards that future with you? Okay, so research can do all of these. So it's like a big toolbox that you can use for good, for bad, to share learnings and to tell your vision of the future. Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you for the rest too. Okay, so I hope I convinced you that research is a good thing. It's a good tool to use in your toolbox, and everyone can become a researcher. Now the question is how. Right? So I talk about pain, and I think there are 4 categories of pain that you can find in the world. Okay, you might find more and you can add to this, but this is what I think of it as of today. So, where do you find pain? The first area is when you have people or men or women or community versus nature. All right, so you have earthquakes, you have floods, you have climate change, something that nature brings to men. I think some of our friends have experienced flooding in their regions. Some of our friends experience very bad earthquakes. But what do those earthquakes and what do those natural disasters do for the communities there? And what are some of the learnings? What is the pain? What do the communities go through? And what are some of the learnings that we can get out of it? Okay, so there's one area of pain, man versus nature. The second area of pain is man versus man. So when we have an argument, that is man versus man. When somebody is doing a bad thing to another person, there's also man versus man. It could be woman versus woman or man versus woman, but I just use man as a general term, by one versus one. Right. So why does that happen? Who is experiencing the pain? Is it bad? Like maybe of course it is bad. So why is it bad, and how do we stop it? Right. So that is one area of how to find pain. The third is one man or a small group of people versus a large group of people. So it could be minority discrimination, it could be exclusion, it could be bias, it could be racism, it could be a lot of things. Like the list goes on. So in these is more like a minority is being like oppressed by a majority, and that is where you find pain too. Right? So a lot of stories can come out in communities. I'm sure in your regions you have different variations of this, and you may find it everywhere too. And sometimes you can argue it's good, but most of the time you argue it's bad. So research helps you to find the pain in this area, and then try to craft your story and tell your story to the world. Okay, the last one is on a bigger scale, where it's people versus people, lots of people versus lots of people. Like you have different regions in conflict with each other. You have big things like war between two regions, or doesn't have to be neighbors even. It can be like different parts of the world, or it could be groups of people, large groups of people saying that, oh, it's you versus us, or you guys versus we guys. All right, so I'll leave you to imagine what kind of conflict that we have in your world. I think every one of us have different. When we talk about this kind of conflict, you have different impressions about what the conflict is, And that is very unique to you. And that can be your starting point about talking about pain. Okay. So in my mind, these are the 4 areas that are very obvious areas of pain that you can and start thinking about where the pain is, and then follow those pain. Okay, so um, the takeaway here is that wherever we are, we can always find someone who is hurting, or someone who is in pain, or a group of people who are in pain. Now, what do we want to tell the world, and how do we tell the world about it? So that is the next question. All right, thank you for your reactions. I do see them. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we talk about research, and this research word is very big, right? Sometimes people may say, "Oh, it's research. You only do it in school." But I want to say that research, you can do it everywhere. So governments do research. When they want to create a new policy, they will say, "Okay, what does this policy do? Who does it affect? Does it affect the the people in the different classes of society? Does it affect technology? And if it affects technology, what kind of other effects does it go on here?" So a lot of research happens in governments. Research also happens at work. So if your boss says go and do something, you have to find out what to do and then come back and tell the boss, "Hey, boss, is good or bad, or we should do this, I should do that." Right? So research happens there too. So in school, your teacher tells you to do an assignment, of course you have to do research. Maybe a very different way of approaching it. Your school may say, what are the facts? Right? But I'm saying, where's the pain? You also do it at home, right? So if you want to make a home decision or decision in your community, you have to understand what the impacts are of that decision before you do it. So that's home. And of course, in your personal and everyday life, you are also making decisions about your life choices, about what you do, where you go. So research happens everywhere. So every time you ask yourself why something happens, that is already research here. You don't have to be called a researcher to do research. Okay, so you can look at many areas of life in the 4 categories above, or in these different areas of work and government and school, and find topics very easily. I think this point is also important because the techniques that I'm sharing today, if you take it home to your workplace or to your school or to your organizations that you work in, these can be very powerful tools for you to communicate your ideas to your teachers, your boss, the governments, the if you're in policy, the political parties and the policymakers that you're working for. Okay, and it's a very powerful tool to convince. Okay, so now this is the perhaps the most important part of the presentation. If you take away anything, take away this slide. Okay, so how to do research? I see in 3 steps. It's a very simple steps. The first is to observe, and observe people. Don't observe things. Don't observe news. Observe people who are saying things, who are doing things, who are experiencing the pain. You watch them, listen, pay attention to what they complain about, what they struggle, what they don't want to do, what they want to do. All right, so observe people and then ask questions. So step 2 is ask questions. Who are these people? Who is feeling this pain? And what is the pain that they are feeling? Can you describe it? When do they feel it? And how often do they feel it? Right? Is it money? What kind of pain is it? Is it money? Is it hurt? Is it physical hurt? Or is it emotional hurt? You need to start asking yourself the question, establish the facts. Then ask about the current way that they solve this problem. So they have some pain, but what are they doing currently to solve this pain? Right? What kind of solutions are there for them today? And ask yourself, is there a better way of doing things? What about others in different regions, in different classes of society, of different groups. What are they doing about it? And yeah, so ask these kind of questions. These are the three ways to ask questions after you observe. So establish the facts. What's the old way of doing things, and is there a better way of doing things? And lastly, is be very specific about the questions that you ask. If you ask big questions, you get big answers. Vague questions, you get vague answers. So ask very specific questions to yourself and get the details down to like who is it specifically, when exactly do they do it, like where do they do it, okay, to get all the specifics. And the deeper you go, the more pain that you will uncover, and then that will help strengthen your story. Okay, so takeaway here: observe people, ask questions, and be very specific on those questions. Okay, so let's do some examples. I got 3 examples here. The first is a positive example, right? Something that we're doing with Neymar, something that we have been talking about in the Verse Bangladesh channel. So we've been talking about remittance. Remittance is transferring money from one country to another. So if I'm in country A, I want to transfer back to my family in country B. It's remittance. And we are going through this discovery of pain. So who is experiencing the pain is a friend in Bangladesh who's going overseas to work. And how old is this friend? Like why did they go overseas? When do they go overseas? So all these questions come up. Then what kind of pain does the friend experience? Or whenever they want to transfer money home, the fees are so high as a 1 day salary. So imagine you work 30 days, 1 day of that is fees to transfer home. That's crazy. And how often does that happen? Every month. How did that happen? Because they send money home using the remittance shops, right? So that establishes the pain of this person. Then what is the old way of doing things? Or the old way is that because they only know Western Union, for example, through Western Union, they only know those popular remittance shops, but the fees are so expensive and the foreign exchange rates are very bad. Like where do they go? So do they have another network, an informal network to use? But it's also risky, right? So there's more pain that you uncover. And is there a better way of doing things? We think that there's a better way, USDT peer to peer, but it's banned. Cryptocurrency is banned in Bangladesh. So how? So there's more pain that we uncovered. So the story becomes bigger and bigger. Okay, so that is one example of how to fold the pain, and the more we study into remittance or this friend who goes overseas to work, the more we uncover the pain, and the deeper the story we can tell. Okay. All right. Here's a negative example. Okay, so this is from a member in the group. I will not say who it is, but I will tell you the negative example, and you tell me if it's a good story or not. Okay. So we were talking about crypto regulation in Egypt, and there were some facts that were raised. So in 2018, Bitcoin was declared haram in Egypt. In why? Because they thought that crypto could damage national security. It was a religious decree. It wasn't a legal opinion, so it's not binding. But in 2020, the bank said, you can't trade, you can't promote crypto without a license, and there was this law number 194, which is a policy on financial sector transformation. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here. A lot of facts that I just said, but where is the pain? So this approach was very factual, but very boring. All right. So if I tell this story to you, you start to ask, like, I don't care what you're trying to tell me at the end of the day. All right. So I think it's because that we don't show pain here. We are not saying what this policy affects, like who this policy affects, and who is experiencing the pain. Like who are our friends in Egypt who can't use crypto because it's haram? What are the struggles that they go through? Oh, it's haram. Then yeah, I must be a good person and I can't use it, but everyone's using it. Then maybe it's not. So that is struggle, and that is pain, and that is very, 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 very exciting to tell. Like for me, I'm not Muslim, but I appreciate. I have Muslim friends, and I appreciate the considerations that they go through, and this is this is something that I will want to struggle with them, right? So I want to know what do they think about it, and I want to understand. So if you flip it around to say, oh, JT has a friend who is in Egypt, who is very religious, and in 2018 he was using Bitcoin, but this policy came in, and then he's struggling right now, doesn't know what to do. Then he went to all his leaders and asked, but the leaders are all very traditional, and they said no, you can't because haram is haram, right? Then what is my friend going to do? So if we turn the story around, to say, okay, this is the pain, this is my friend, it becomes a much more exciting story to tell. Okay. So thank you for all your reactions. Thank you, thank you. And if you ever tell this story, I want to know. I want to know what happens at the end. Okay, so please tell that story for me. Okay. Another positive example. So we were talking about scams in Nigeria, and especially about student scams. We didn't go into detail about who the student is, but I'll be very excited to know about this student. Like, why did the student fall victim to the scam? I mean, a student is, I think it was a university. We're talking about university. So in university, you're very educated already. You have a lot of information. You have a lot of education, but you still fall into a scam. Well, what scam is it? How did it work? I want to know now. Right, so I'm curious. Like when did it happen? How did it happen? Did you join a WhatsApp group? You saw some promotion? You invested. How much did you invest? And how much do you have to wait? So all these questions start to appear when you lead with the pain. So you lead with this student who got scammed by how much? All right. Then what is the old way? Like what did the student keep doing? Or the student kept playing, kept participating in the scam because it's hope, right? You you bring in one person, you get some money. Or you bring in 10 people, you get more money. So you have to just keep doing it. And so that was what we were chatting about. And is there a better way? Like, what do we what do we um how do we lift this student up from the pain that he or she is experiencing? Like, what kind of then we talk about opportunities, so maybe there's lack of opportunities that led the student to experience this scam. So what if we gave more opportunities to this student? So that's us painting the future for the student, right? But where are the opportunities? Yeah, we can't find it in Nigeria. It's not these big opportunities are not everywhere. So is there a solution? So then your story becomes a lot bigger and more engaging. Okay. So that is the another positive example that I want to share. Hi everybody. Very glad to see all the emojis. Thank you, thank you. And the last slide, I want to encourage everybody who's on the call and who's watching the recording, whether or not you call yourself a researcher, now, it really doesn't matter. Go and find the pain in your communities. Find who is experiencing the pain and what kind of pain they're experiencing, and help them tell their story to the rest of the world. So that's what I want to leave you with and encourage everybody to think about. All right, so that is the end of my sharing. Thank you so much for joining me at this hour. For those who are in our friends in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, it's super late for you. You take a good rest. And our friends in Nigeria too, thank you so much for joining in this evening. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to drop them in our Verse Correspondence channel. All right. Thank you and have a great evening. Goodbye.